7 signs of bad spark plugs and what you should do before it gets worse. Your car still starts, it still runs, but something feels off. The engine doesn't feel as smooth, acceleration feels weaker, fuel economy drops, and sometimes you feel a small shake that wasn't there before. These are the kinds of signs many drivers ignore at first because the car is still moving. But here's the truth. One of the smallest parts in your engine can have a huge impact on performance. The spark plug. Spark plugs may be small, but they are responsible for igniting the air-fuel mixture inside your engine. Without that spark, your engine simply cannot produce power. And when spark plugs start to wear out, they don't always fail suddenly. They slowly get weaker, less efficient, more inconsistent, and that is when problems begin. In this video, I'll show you 7 common signs of bad spark plugs. We'll start with the most common symptoms first, then move into the more serious ones. And stay until the end because one of the last signs on this list is often ignored at first, but can lead to a much more expensive repair later. So before you replace random parts, let's go step by step. Sign number 1, engine misfire. This is one of the clearest signs of bad spark plugs. A misfire happens when the spark is not strong enough or does not happen at the right time. That means the fuel in that cylinder does not burn properly. You may feel a sudden jerk, a stumble, or shaking from the engine. Sometimes it feels like the engine skips a beat. Other times, the whole car vibrates. Misfires are important because they should never be ignored. If unburned fuel enters the exhaust system, it can damage the catalytic converter. So if your engine is misfiring, spark plugs are one of the first things to check. Sign number 2, rough idle. If your engine feels shaky while the car is not moving, this is another strong clue. A healthy engine should idle smoothly, but when spark plugs are worn, combustion becomes uneven. That creates vibration. The engine may feel unstable. The RPM may drop slightly, then recover, or the car may feel like it's about to stall. If the roughness is more noticeable when stopped at a light or sitting in traffic, spark plugs are a very likely cause. Sign number 3, slow acceleration. You press the gas pedal, but the car doesn't respond the way it used to. There is a delay, or the power feels weaker. This happens because your engine is not producing full power. If the spark is weak, the fuel does not burn efficiently, and when that happens, you lose performance. This symptom can also be caused by fuel or air problems. But if it comes together with rough idle or misfire, spark plugs move higher on the suspect list. Sign number 4, poor fuel economy. If you are visiting the gas station more often than usual, your spark plugs may be part of the problem. When spark plugs are working properly, fuel burns efficiently, but when they wear out, combustion becomes incomplete. That means more fuel is wasted, and over time, that shows up as worse mileage. Sometimes the drop is small at first, then it becomes more noticeable. So if your fuel economy drops without any major change in driving, spark plugs are worth checking. Sign number 5, hard starting. If your car takes longer to start or struggles to start at all, spark plugs could be the reason. Your engine needs a strong spark to start combustion. If that spark is weak, the engine may crank longer than usual. You may notice slow starting, multiple attempts to start, or hesitation before the engine fires. This is especially noticeable in cold weather, and if ignored, it can put extra strain on your battery and starter. Sign number 6, engine knocking, pinging, or unusual sounds. Listen carefully to your engine. If you hear knocking, pinging, or irregular sounds, it may be related to poor combustion. When spark plugs don't fire correctly, fuel may ignite unevenly. That can create abnormal pressure inside the cylinders, and that leads to those unusual sounds. While knocking can have multiple causes, worn spark plugs are one of the simplest and most common ones to check first. So if your engine sounds different than before, do not ignore it. Sign number 7, check engine light. And finally, the most obvious warning. A failing spark plug can trigger the check engine light. Modern vehicles monitor misfires and combustion performance. If the system detects a problem, it turns on the warning light. In many cases, you may also see misfire-related codes when scanning the vehicle. But here's the important part. The check engine light does not tell you the exact part. It only tells you something is wrong. So if the light comes on along with rough, idle, misfire, or weak acceleration, spark plugs are a strong possibility. Now here is something important. Spark plugs do not last forever. Some may last around 30,000 miles. Others, like platinum or iridium plugs, may last much longer. But no matter the type, they wear out over time. That is why replacing them at the recommended interval is important. And when you replace them, always replace the full set, not just one, because uneven spark plug performance can create new problems. So what should you do if you notice these symptoms? Start simple. Ask yourself, is the engine misfiring? Is the idle rough? Is acceleration weaker than before? Has fuel economy dropped? Is the car harder to start? If several of these symptoms appear together, spark plugs become a very strong suspect. If possible, scan the car for codes and inspect the spark plugs directly if you have the tools, because guessing can get expensive. But a simple inspection can save you time and money. So let's quickly recap. Bad spark plugs can cause engine misfire, rough idle, slow acceleration, poor fuel economy, hard starting, engine knocking, and a check engine light. Some of these start small, some feel serious right away, and some seem minor at first, but can lead to bigger problems if ignored too long. That is why spark plug issues should never be ignored, because when combustion is not correct, everything else in the engine starts to suffer. And now I want to hear from you. What was the first sign your car showed? Was it rough idle, misfire, poor acceleration, or a check engine light? Comment below with the exact symptom you noticed first. And if enough people mention the same issue, I'll make the next video on that exact problem.